I'm excited that y'all have all. I was, you know, saw my email that I was anticipating a modest turnout. So I'm actually pleasantly surprised and grateful for y'all being here. I want to appreciate y'all getting here. I am going to do something I don't generally do in a meeting this size, but I think it'd be useful for all of us to meet one another. I mean, there's a benefit and an advantage to just having folks know who is doing what, where they are. You don't feel obligated or to turn on your camera if you don't want, but I would like y'all, if you can, as we go through, to sort of introduce yourself and where you are and sort of what your connection is. I guess I should start out actually saying who I am. I'm Jonathan Watts Hull. I'm the Director for Student Success at the System Office. And I'm sort of, to use a loose term, I'm coordinating the data science course collaborative process. Been involved with the data science course since its beginning, so really excited about where it's heading. I'm going to hand it off. I'm going to put Denise, my colleague Denise, on the spot to follow up. And then if y'all will just go around and sort of introduce yourselves so we know who you are and who's here, and then we'll sort of talk through the rest of the day. So Denise, can I ask you to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hey, I'm Denise Demese. I'm Director of Faculty Development here at the USG and have done some course design, taught some course design classes and workshops at UGA in the past. So Jonathan pulled me in to be another ear for you all. Should I throw the ball to someone, Jonathan, so it's not crazy and unruly?
That would be fine. I prefer crazy and unruly, but that's probably for the best with this many people, so that would be great.
I'm going to go alphabetically and throw it to Brad Bailey.
Brad, you're on mute.
Okay. Sorry, I thought I had clicked it. Anyways, yeah, I'm at the University of North Georgia, and we don't have the data science course here exactly. We teach stats and stuff like that, but we're interested in developing something, developing something like that here. So.
Brad, do you want to pick someone to speak next?
Let's continue alphabetically and go to Birel.
Dr. Birel, you're also muted.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Good afternoon. I'm Bhavna Birel. I'm from Fort Valley State University. I teach computer science and mathematics courses there. I've taught statistics, college algebra, pre-calculus, geometry for teachers. Nice to meet you all. Thank you. I pick, is it Camille Pace?
Hi, I'm Camille Pace. I'm from Georgia Highlands College and I teach statistics and currently working on my dissertation through data science methods. So I'm going to pick Timothy Howard.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Tim Howard at Columbus State University. I'm the Vice Provost and mathematician, former chair of our Gen Ed committee, and great to be with you. Just before the meeting, I was putting the finishing touches on our proposal to add data 1501 in Area D. So that's where we are right now. And I'll pass things on to Barry Monk.
Hello, everybody. I'm Barry Monk. I'm the chair of the Department of Mathematics and Statistics at Middle Georgia State University. I'm also the chair of our General Education Committee, and that's that. So I guess I will pass it to who's after me. I guess I will go to Jay Lugo. Okay. Or maybe Gene White? No.
Hey, everybody. I'm
I'm sorry.
Jonathan's assistant. I'm not really part of the classroom. I am Jean White, administrative coordinator for Complete College and student. What you do, Jonathan?
Success, Gene.
Student success.
Clearly, Gene is a very closely engaged partner in this work.
Yes. So I'm here to support and to hear what you guys are talking about. I'm also recording so we can have this stored for people who may miss the meeting. Thank you.
Gene, who are you picking on next?
Let's see, who's next? Oh my goodness. Anybody want to volunteer? Hands up. Let's see, who hasn't gone?
Paul raised his hand.
Who? I
Paul.
see Denise went.
Go ahead, just unmute.
J Logo.
Hi. I tried a minute ago, but I realized that my microphone was off. I'm Jose Lugo. I'm a professor at College of Coastal Georgia, and I'm just representing the math department. And I recently started working on my master's in data science at Georgia Tech, although I have never taught stats, and I'm not really sure how it's gonna go, because we have the course in our catalog, but we're gonna offer it for the first time in August, but we haven't done that yet. Let's see if I can get ideas from here. Thanks. So has everybody introduced themselves, or do I have to pick somebody?
You have to pick somebody.
But I don't know who has gone or not. Has Neil gone already?
I'm Neil Smith. I'm an associate professor in the Department of Mathematics at Augusta University. I got volunteered sort of for this project since I teach the elementary statistics course quite a lot, and I've also developed a junior level course in data analysis or data science for our math major. And I don't know who's next. I guess in my list, whoever raised their hand could be next.
Hi, that's me. My name's Tim Schroer. I serve as chair of the Department of General Education at the University of West Georgia. I'm a historian, and so I'll pass things on to the brains of our operation, Scott Sykes, who I think I see here.
Hey, I'm Scott Sykes. I'm a math professor in the Department of General Education at West Georgia, and I've taught statistics and math classes in the past. And I guess I'll pass it off to Thomas Gonzalez.
Hey, I'm Tom Gonzalez, Dalton State College, teach math and computer science. I'll hand it off to Vincent Mangum.
Hello, everyone. This is Vincent Mangum from Atlanta Metropolitan State College. I'm the Dean of the School of Business and Technology. And, you know, this kind of fell in my lap due to one part, you know, we're looking at, of course, statistics courses to further enhance the business program, as well as an opportunity to better prepare students for the business and opportunity, along with fintech in the future as well, to get more students prepared. And not sure who has gone, but if Neil, if you haven't gone yet, we can go with you, Neil Smith, or maybe Barry Monk.
So both of them introduced themselves, I think. Sherry, do you want to go ahead?
Yes. Hello, everyone. I'm Sherry Ni from Kennesaw State University. I'm a professor of statistics there and have been at Kennesaw State University for more than 14 years, I guess. So I've taught a lot of statistics courses, including elementary statistics, statistical method, and statistical computing. And I created the data mining course for our Master of Applied Statistics program. And that course also became the core course for our PhD program. And in the last 2 years, I was the interim chair of the statistics department, so have been involved in a lot of statistical pathway and creation of this common data introduction to data science course. And effective January 1st this year, the beginning of this month, the Department of Statistics has joined the School of Data Science and Analytics. So we formed a new school and focusing on the data science education and research. So hopefully this course will become, our kind of the flag course in general education and try to serve more and more undergraduate students. Thank you. Okay, so may I pick Winston Tripp?
Hi there, I'm Winston Tripp. I'm from the University of West Georgia, and we're interested in a couple of different things with data science and data science courses and programs. And I'm involved with several different groups here to try to get kind of things off the ground, and we're excited to get that running. I think I may be at the end alphabetically, but I noticed that Jill Drake from UWG had not gone yet, so I'll pass it back to her.
Thank you, Winston. I was almost getting offended that Scott and Tim didn't pass it to me. UWG is well represented in the meeting today. I'm Jill Drake, and I work in the provost office. I am the designee for approving new programs and new courses and course modifications and all of that. And we did an analysis looking at how a statistics pathway might fit into several of our degree programs, which of course lead to program modifications. And of course, the 1501 course is something that we're considering for Area D. And because I ultimately am on the tail end of approving it and whatnot, I'm here to learn more and to see what we can do to move ourselves along. And Tim, even though he's a historian, he is chair of our general education committee. So he's worthy of being here.
So is it Javisa Majena? Or
I think that's the last one, right, Jabessa?
Yeah. Hello. Can you guys hear me? I'm Jabessa from Georgia College and University. I'm an assistant professor in the
Kamal, do you want to introduce yourself? And pick somebody else to introduce after you.
Sure. I'm Al Kakish with Georgia Gwinnett College in Lawrenceville. I chair the Data Science and Analytics Committee and Goal Team. Our program is fairly young. We're in our second year. We have a full concentration, 123 hours. And based on that, I was selected to represent Georgia Gwinnett College on the RAC for Data 1501. We are definitely interested in the progress and the development and kind of shooting for, once everything is settled, to teach it in the fall of this. I'll go with Yoris.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Yoris Ao from Georgia Southern University. I'm the chair of the Enterprise Systems and Analytics Department. Our department offers a program in Enterprise Systems and Business Analytics. So this course, if we end up offering it here at the Georgia Southern University, can be considered as a feeder course for my program, and that's the reason why I'm interested in contributing to this this project, if you will. Thank you. And let me pick Manoj Thapa.
Yes. Hello. This is me, Manoj Thapa, and I'm from Georgia Southwestern State University, and I'm here assistant professor in the math department. Actually, I'm the advisor for math with option in computational mathematics. So I'm really interested in data science, even from my PhD days. So we are trying to create the new program, math with the data science with the computer science, and thinking for the future. So hopefully this meeting and more will be fruitful. Okay. I don't know who to pick. I found that one is the interesting one, Angry KR.
Yeah, hi, how are you?
Oh.
I'm Rafael Angrick. I'm a full professor at Georgia State University. I'm computer scientist by training. I've been doing data science, data mining, big data mining for the last 15 years since I graduated. And I'm director of one of two concentrations on data science and analytics in the Georgia State. Our concentration is called Big Data Machine Learning. We are in shared concentration between the Computer Science and Statistics Department, GSU. Whoever waves their hands, gonna be my pick. So wave their hands if you've not been on the list yet. I don't see anybody. Am I last? Jonathan, do you see anybody?
Melanie.
Melanie, it is. Go ahead.
Melanie.
Thank you very much. This is Melanie Largen. I'm a professor of mathematics and dean of the School of Business and Professional Studies at Georgia Highlands College. So I work closely with Camille Pace, who is our subject matter expert in this particular area. But we're looking at elevating our statistics pathway, incorporating FinTech into our curriculum, and developing a data analytics program and degree. So we're very interested in this course and trying to figure out how it plugs into our full set of curriculum.
All right, is that everybody? I think that is everybody. Thank you for that. That was messy, and I appreciate walking through it. I really, don't, with 20 people, 25 people, it's a little hard to do, but I really want to make sure we sort of know each other, because I want to sort of be transparent about the goals that I sort of have for what today will, and the big goal is simply a check-in on course development. I mean, again, we talked about the course as an option. I want to give a little bit of an update on where the approval is, and then I want to check in on the course development, and then really sort of assess what would be most useful from the system office, because I don't want to we aren't making a presumption about how this course works. Courses are developed at campuses. So and then again, any sort of follow-up questions and understanding where the process goes, leave time for that. I'm going to guarantee you we won't go all the way to the end time, but I want to give enough time for conversation. So the course has been approved as a template course by Gen Ed Council. That is a big deal. I mean, this allows campuses to sort of go through an expedited process of approval into Gen Ed. Still has to go through all the local governance. So if you're interested in advancing this course at your local campus, it would have to fit into your area D. That's actually really important. Obviously, you can develop this course and make it an offering as an elective. But in order to get into Gen Ed, it does need to fit into your area D outcomes, which is a local discussion. There's some variations on that that you need to resolve. And then there's an expedited process. It's not a notification process. It does go to Gen Ed. They will have a review of the course as it's configured. Again, you're meeting the shared learning objectives for 1501 as it's stated in the plan in the course outline. And then that is aligned with your Area D learning outcomes, and that's the consideration for the Gen Ed Council. That's kind of a big deal. It makes it a much faster process for campuses to get this approved, and it also gives us a higher degree of certainty. And one of the things we know is that having the course in Area D as opposed to having it sit out there as an elective is just a really much better place for it to be for campuses as they look at where they want to do it. So that's the update. Does that, I guess before I leave that, there are other questions about the process that are burning on anyone's mind about the system approval process. Can't answer your local questions, but I can answer system. Awesome.
Can you repeat that?
Sure, Sam. Samuel, I don't think you got a chance to introduce yourself. You want to introduce yourself? Sorry,
Okay,
put you on the spot. You shouldn't ask me a question.
I'm Cartwright. I'm a professor at Fort Valley State University. I teach mathematics courses, graduate and undergraduate. And I'm here to find out more information about data 1501 to get more information and hopefully use. So I wanted to know more about the process of getting it approved. I mean, yeah, getting it approved.
Sure. So the course is a the course is consider what's called a template course. We've never had one of these before, and the Council on Gen Ed Education approved the data science for Area D as a commonly numbered course. So that essentially means that institutions that offer data 1501 using the template, and again, if you're offering a data 1501, you actually need, because it's a commonly numbered course, it has to be that course that is shared common numbered, which otherwise gets messes up things for other folks. And data 1501 is the number. It would share the common outline, so that's the sort of topic. It's essentially a topics list, and it's a 70-30 mix. So 70% of that course should be from the established content. 30% comes from the sort of optional list of items. And then it is essentially has to be approved through local governance in the same way any other course is. It's approved through Area D. The advantage for this is that when it gets to Gen Ed Council, historically Gen Ed Council will then farm it out to a RAC, which we do have a RAC on data science, but it would go out to the RAC. Each course would be individually approved. And that process, because the process is actually now truncated, because the Gen Ed Council is empowered essentially to look at the course, the Area D outcomes and the way that they align with the system, the course outcomes. There is a form that I have to fill out. I'll make that available to folks. I'm trying to see if I've got it in hand. It is again a template form. It's mostly filled out, and then it just basically the blanks on it are for your own local Area Ds. You'd submit that to Gen Ed Council. Currently, you have to submit that through Barbara Brown because there's no current chair for Gen Ed Council. But that goes through Gen Ed Council. It goes into one of the regular reviews, and it's essentially a more expedient review process. It's also, to be fair, much easier on Gen Ed Council. So those of you who serve on Gen Ed Council at the system level, this is the kindness to y'all as well. But again, that all happens after your local governance. So those campuses that are saying you're intending to have it offered in October is probably got to start to move through your local governance now, and which puts it into a timeline so that you can get it into catalog in order to get it onto schedules in the fall. So does that, Sam, does that answer your question?
Sort of, but I just want to be sure. Okay, I just want to be sure. So we would fill in the local form within our department and have it approved locally and then send it to the Gen Ed Council?
Right. So once the course is approved locally, you would seek approval from the Gen Ed Council. Until there's a local blessing on the Area D-ness of the course, Gen Ed Council really can't speak to it because the Gen Ed Council's review is based on what the local approval process is. I can speak a little bit more about approval, but I think, you know, what I would want to do is probably have Barbara Brown answer most of the questions about sort of the approval process, because this is A, it's new, and B, she's the one who would have to manage it. I will distribute out to y'all the sort of the forms that I have for that, so it's available to everybody to review. But again, this is a process that occurs after local governance is sort of blessed on the course. All right. So, and again, and you know, part of this is that, you know, the way the course is developed is no different than any other course. It's a course that's in your catalog. It's a course that's in your curriculum. If it's an Area D course, it meets your Area D outcomes. It can always be in another area. I mean, that's the advantage of this. Could be an Area F course. It could be an elective course for students to take. There's no reason it has to be an Area D, but the Area D does create a number of opportunities, because it does mean it aligns as a stats pathway. It does mean you can take stats in Area A2 if your institution offers statistics in Area A2, and then offer this course as a companion course, not a follow-on course, but a companion course somewhere in the sequence in Area D. It could also supplement students who, in the natural sciences area, where they may want to, instead of doing a natural science or an advanced math, this may be the appropriate course for students who are moving into statistics-based disciplines generally. So are there other questions about process?
I have a question.
Okay.
So the fact that it is board approved to be part of Area D, we still need to go through the local process of approving a new course?
Yes, because the course is still not approved for, I mean, remember, we don't create curricula on your campus. So your local governance process approves your curriculum. The system approves it as part of the Gen Ed curriculum, but in terms of it being a course available for your institution, your local governance still has the controlling authority. And that's just the way the shared governance responsibility works with the system. We don't drop courses into your curriculum so much as the Gen Ed Council is reviewing the curriculum for the system, but the course itself would be approved at local level. Okay. As with any other course. I mean, this is not specific to data science. This is true for any other course.
I understand. And so the other question is in terms of any prerequisites.
The only prerequisite for this course is, as the commonly numbered course, is satisfaction of learning support. So if a student enters in to your institution without a learning support requirement, they're ready to go. So they could take it alongside their first math class. If a student is required to take learning support math, they would be required to satisfy learning support math, which means they would have to take their math course first. But there is for students without a learning support requirement, there is no prerequisite.
Thank you.
I had a question that might be applicable. There's been some discussion in our department about whether the course has to be numbered as DAT or DATA. I can't remember what the prefix is, or if it could actually receive a math prefix.
So yeah, I think it could. The challenge is going to be finding the challenge with that is going to be, because it's data and it's somewhat the same we have with math and stat. The problem is the common numbered of that. It's going to be just really messy. Because when for students who are entirely in your institution, it's not a problem. But when they transfer over, knowing math, whatever 1000 level it gets assigned, and you may have 1501 available, counts as that class, becomes a little more. It's tricky. But there's no. I don't feel there's a reason to do that. I might lean back on Barbara just to make sure there's no I mean, it doesn't make sense that there would be. But let me just get back to you on that. Remind me who just asked that question. I can just post it to everybody.
That was Neil Smith from Augusta University.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know that it would be, other than the messiness of transfer, and knowing that course transferred. But we're hoping to fix all of that. So my expectation would be that so long as it was indicated as this course, I mean, part of the problem would be that making sure that it was clear that when it went into the approval process, that the course for consideration is identical to Data 1501.
Thank you.
So, and can I ask just a follow-up question? What's the conversation around data? Is it just that you don't have a data prefix anywhere else, or is there other consideration about the use of the data prefix?
Well, the conversation was, we anticipate the course is going to be exclusively offered within the Department of Mathematics. And if so, that would be exactly one course that doesn't have the math prefix on it, which would be a little weird.
Okay. Are there other process questions folks have? All right. All right, thanks. So that's helpful. I will get some clarification on the process, just so it's like a step-by-step for y'all out. I will get and I'll get confirmation that the math prefix can be used as opposed to data. There may be some additional notation you'd need to make when it went out to Gen Ed Council, but I don't think that'd be a problem otherwise. Tim, you get your hand raised.
Hey, Jonathan. Yeah, not to muddy the question any further, but I just pulled up the course proposal form to the council on Gen Ed, and there's a section about the common course numbering, and it asks for essentially a justification if you responded that you're not using a common prefix and course number, and why.
Okay.
So maybe we need more than that, but.
No, I mean, I appreciate that. So again, I'm glad, because you're on Gen Ed Council, aren't you? No, you're not. So there may be your answer. But I'll get clarification on that.
Will you restate again the percentage of match?
It's so if you go to the course outline, there's a section where it's 70% of the course will be from these topics, which is to say 70% of the course must be comprised of these common topics, and then 30%. And it's not like an exact. It's a. Let me pull the course outline up. It's a minimum 70-30. The course actually stipulates what's in the remaining 30. So it's not a free-for-all sort of situation. It does have guidelines in terms of what would be the recommended components of that. So if I will also go ahead and share out just to this group here, the shared what am I thinking of? The course outline, so that y'all have it in its, here we go. Oh, that's the plan. Here we go. I'm going to place this in the chat, which is such an exciting thing for me to do in Teams. So the course outline is currently in the chat, and you can access it from there. And what it describes is the 70 to 80% is in the is the topics that are in the sort of the first list, and then there's a list of additional topics, which is the 20 to 30%. And you can see that in that course outline. And I guess for those of you who were not part of this process all the way going back, this outline was actually shaped by the Data Science Working Group. A number of y'all were part of that group. And it essentially was a process where we walked through sort of the broader scope of what data science might want to do for students and where it might sit, thinking about how you would make a course that would fit both at any institutional level for intro level students, and again have broad application for students going into varying majors. And so that's where that information came from. Did it just, okay, it just posted. So it's sending. For those of you who can't see it, I'm not sure when it's. All right. Can somebody see it now? Because it
just showed up.
Okay. I can email it. It is in the chat. I don't want to try and email it now. I'll try and email it afterwards. I don't want to try and email it now because I'm on dial-up, I believe, at this point. But you should be able to get it out of the chat. And that should guide. And I want to use this as a transition. So if there are other questions, Tim, are your hand still up, or are you? No. Okay. So I'm happy to take other questions, and I don't want to foreclose on it. So if there are other questions, go ahead and raise it about sort of process. Let me know. If not, you don't have access to the file you sent. Oh, I know why. Because people are outside of my org. All right. This is excellent for me, folks. Let me just give it 1 second on this. And drop the file somewhere where everyone can get it. Oh, thank you. Yes. So yes, Winston put it on. Thank you for saving me. I appreciate that. Takes a village. So in the chat, there's now a link to a page on the CCG website that is that document. And I will, like I said, I'll send it out to you so you can take a look at it. But this brings up an interesting point, and it's actually one of the sort of where we are now, and also where are we going. The process of developing a course is generally not done starting with the topics list. It's actually done sort of with you develop a set of learning objectives, you begin to look at assessments, and many of you saw the process we outlined, which is not canonical. There's a number of ways to develop a course, but in order to get it approved generally and to create a structure around it, we did end up listing on a topics list, which again sort of restricted the process of developing the course. And so I kind of want to move into this idea of checking in on where campuses might be on developing the course and how they want to move forward. So over the winter, and I know this was a busy time and not exactly a kindness, we released a plan for stage 1 of developing a course. And if you looked at the DFINC document that was shared around, and I want to thank Denise for sort of supporting me on finding that and walking through that. But it's a really handy way to develop a course, but it's a handy way to develop a course among many. But I shared it out in part because as we go through this together, if we are going to collaboratively develop it, if you're interested in that process, keeping people somewhat in the same stages is useful. And so that was where that is what sort of that work was done, was intended to do. So I guess at this point, looking at where you are on your campus, I'm curious from the general audience, like where you feel you are in stage of like course development in terms of both developing the actual course, which is really interesting to me, and also the add-on to that, which is how can we be better? How can we help you, particularly around resourcing a course that's brand new? I'm going to sort of open it up to everybody. But I'd invite you to raise your hand. Is my hand raised? Lower my hand. I would invite you to, go ahead and either start speaking in terms of so I heard a couple of you are in the process of developing it, and a couple of you are sort of investigating it. So for those of you who are actually in the process of developing it, where are you in your process? Oh, so question from there's no textbook for the course. There's a recommendation for a single one that was identified by the group, the data science working group, but it's very heavy on Python and coding. And so there was some concern that the course would be a little bit too much for some folks to teach and for some students to take. So at this point, there's no common textbook for it. So back to my question. For those of you who are in the process of developing the course, sort of where are you in your process? All right, so.
Well, I'll make a comment to that. I know one big thing we're worrying about is we kind of have to identify what group of students this course is actually going to be pitched towards, as far as what majors, what programs will actually have an interest in letting their students use the course to fulfill an Area D requirement. Because for instance, if 90% of the students are going to be biology and health science workers, that dictates a much different course presentation than if 80% of the students are English majors, for instance.
Okay, and what's your conversation been around that? How have you shaped that conversation?
Well, not a whole lot of those conversations have actually happened yet, because it's a question of essentially reaching out to every department and every program on campus to see if to see if there's even going to be a demand for taking the course, and if so, where that demand is going to come from. And I know in the case of Augusta University, the process of adding 1401 to Area A, that is kind of a work in progress. And so it seems like that's almost something that has to happen first before then we start talking about putting the data science course in Area D.
Okay. No, and I think that's probably true. I mean, I guess, so let me ask a couple, so West has got, University of West Georgia and Kennesaw are both here, and sort of think about where this is in your process. How does that connect to where you are in your process?
I'm going to see if anyone else will chime in, but we, of course, had I'll go back because we had a math course that was the 2063 course, which was already in Area D. And then, we got the instructions to create the 1401, which was replacing our 2063. But of course, 1401 was intended to be, well, our thinking was it was going to go in Area A. And we've already put 1401 in Area A. Approval now. Some programs have sent their program sheets through to do that, and some haven't, who were using our original course, which was 2063, which was math 2063. So when we added 1401 to our catalog, the math department, and Scott can chime in and correct even if need be me, we were thinking about, okay, we need to have that 2000 level Area D course. And so the math department started working on their own, and then 1501 came along. And so when we were looking at the new 2063 Area D course, we did gather all of the programs of study that use that class as a part of it. I'm not sure if we've said, okay, that's not, are you thinking of whether we've surveyed these programs about 1501 or not. There was another AVP that was leading this before I joined this in January, so I wouldn't know that particular phase of it. But the backstory is we had an Area D course. We then needed to make that, the 1401, and so then we were going to revise our 2063, and now 1501 is there. So I think we're still trying to figure out what we'll do. Will we still have a math course, or will 1501 replace that? Because as you said, it's not a follow-up course. It's a complementary, I think is a term you used. And so we haven't had a complementary, we had more of a follow-up. And so we're trying to figure out how that works, but I'll let Scott chime in. He's the most closest and the faculty with the expertise in the discipline.
I mean, I think you summed it up pretty well, Jill. We started working on the 2063, and then for a variety of reasons, we kind of stopped working on it. One of them being this data science course coming along. So we're kind of in a holding pattern right now on everything, trying to figure out what we're going to do in Area D.
Was the 2063 elementary statistics?
Yes.
Okay. So it is the 1401 course. It is the math 1401.
We did a few topics that aren't on there, but for the most part, yes.
Yeah.
Right. It became it, but it did have things that were beyond the 1000 level course.
Right. I'm more wondering about it in terms of the placement in the curriculum is all, but that makes sense.
So for UWG, I'll just add that when we met before to talk about this, when the 1501 option came along, we have a lot of interest in data science from across different disciplines that are all wanting to kind of talk about it. So it spurred several different conversations about, stackable programming and different kinds of options we might want to do with this kind of anchoring that. And so we're very interested, but we're still trying to discuss, I think, how that's going to be positioned and where we want to go from here. So we're in the middle of discussing, I think.
Okay. Yeah, and I want to pitch it over to Kennesaw as well. But before I go much further, I want to make sure system's very patient on this. There's no drive to get this done. I just want to be clear. We're not driving this forward. We just want to make sure we're able to support it in the way that makes sense and resource it in the way that makes sense, because it is a brand new course across everybody who's going to be offering it. And Sherry, I don't want to put you totally on the spot, but I think you guys are pretty far down the pike.
Well, yes, we have actually 1501 being approved locally as the Area D general education course almost together with the system approval. So we already have the course in system, and I have scheduled, right now is the time for us to schedule fall 2021 courses, and I've scheduled 6-7 sections for that. We will all start with face-to-face sections only, and then see after we get more experience. So we do have a group of people try to put together a good content for the course. So anyone who new to that as the instructor for that course will have enough resource to start. But I think the team right now and it's very hard for the team to make a kind of hard common decision about which software we are going. We're very comfortable with the topics we cover, but which software, I think someone has mentioned, depends on what kind of students we're going to serve most. So we have a group of faculty that very kind of like the Excel because non-STEM students really wanted, and those programs want their students to get knowledge in Excel. And we also have another group of faculty do not think that Excel would cover enough and would be sophisticated enough to demonstrate the functioning for data science discipline. So that's the current progress, but no matter what and how, we will need to build up a course and to be launched in fall 2021.
Do you have a sense of where those students are going to come from? The ones you're anticipating getting? I mean,
Yeah,
you...
right now, since it's part of the statistical pathway, so at the first semester, we would expect most of them are coming from the non-STEM areas. So as our our current plan might be our first version of the course will be based on Excel, but we will give faculty the flexibility that if they want to try in their own section some other packages, that will be free to them. And another difficulty for developing this is there's no common textbook, and you have mentioned that, so we don't have like kind of the chapter to chapter, topic to topic, ready to use resources, and part of the team's work is trying to make some common contents and look around to try to get contents everywhere.
Right. No, and I just made a note to myself, and I'm going to follow up with this and see if there's opportunity within the Affordable Learning Georgia, which provides grants for faculty to develop textbooks, is what open educational resources. I'm going to follow up with that and see what that would look like, because I never really know whether it's chicken, it's like cart before the horse issue, but I do know that having a textbook would make it probably easier to expand the course as it rolls out. So I'll put that on my list to do. Do you anticipate most of your students coming in first term or doing it second term, or are you thinking this would be a balance? And do you have any sense at all? I mean, I know you haven't done it, so it's like asking what's in the dark room behind the door. But do you have a sense? What are you planning on in terms of first term versus second term?
We don't have any prediction at all, because this course does not have any prerequisite instead of learning support. So we would expect students may come everywhere, could be first semester, second semester, first term, second term. But based on before our elementary statistics moved to area A, we saw most students are the second term students. So I think for this course, most students we hope would be second student. But this course, being added into area D and also elementary statistics being added into area A actually increased a lot of flexibility for students to take those general education courses. So they might take some math 1111 or 1101 and then go to either elementary statistics or this course as their area D course. So it's now the picture is really very difficult to predict. It also depends on how many seats we have in different courses.
Thanks. So others who've gotten out of the gate on this, people who've done some work with it in terms of rolling this out towards your campus, where is it in process?
I'll go.
Thanks.
We have local approval for the data science course. It's including inclusion in area D, but we need to get the Council on Gen Ed's approval for a learning outcome for the whole area, so we can make the case that data should be included there. And that's what I'm expecting to send tomorrow. We've had the conversations on campus with programs, and so far we have 3 programs that have jumped on the statistics pathway and want to encourage Intro to Data Science as the Area D2 course. That's criminal justice, English, and sociology. And so far as I know, none of those programs is talking about taking it further than that. And we really had, I and the dean in Letters and Sciences really had expected more programs to jump on it and do more in their program. And it might be that not being able to require a particular area D course is going to delay that. You know, after we get the course established, we think that they might learn more about it and recognize and value it and build on that. But to build a program around it, they actually would have to make room for it in area F or G to ensure students are going to have it so they can actually leverage the data course. So I think we're still working on awareness and buy-in.
And what's your timeline for offering the course? Is it are you planning on fall?
Yes. Yes.
Do you have a sense of how many sections you think you'll be opening?
I wish Ben could join us. They might have already scheduled them for all I know. I don't know that part.
And so where is the course now in terms of its, I mean, I feel bad interrogating you, but I'm curious, like, so do you have the course built out in terms of resourced and content, and or is it still in the process of being built by faculty?
Not certain. I think it's built.
Okay. And we'll watch your Area D changes anxiously. So, you know, Columbus is one of the few campuses where Area D is really just science at this point. We're almost have this very heavily science.
Well, we have a math science technology area, and we get a lot of traction in the non-science courses. But if you just enumerate the choices, it's heavily science.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I'm trying to think. So, and I think Coastal Georgia is, you're actually first out of the gate. Where is that course sit? Jose, do you know? I know you you got handed this late, I know. I think you're still muted.
Okay, thank you. I think we're pretty much in the same stage as was it Sherry Lee that spoke? Because we know it's all approved and everything. And for the very first time, we're going to be offering the course this fall. We only have 2 sections actually scheduled, because we're a smaller college, and we're trying to have a feel for the demand for the course. So there's only 2 sections that have been scheduled. Both sections, one is going to be offered by the chair and the other one by our statistician. We only have one stats PhD in the college. They're going to be doing the course, but they're still going to be talking about it. Mostly it's not built, like they don't know exactly what resources they're going to use yet. So they're going to be preparing all that during spring and summer so that they're ready for those 2 sections in fall. But right now they don't really have it, they don't have it formatted. They don't have, homeworks and everything that they're going to be doing. Yeah.
And it's 2 different faculty that are teaching it.
Yes, the chair and our statistician.
Is Tanya the chair?
Yes.
Okay. I thought you were testing me. In fact, I know you were testing me. I don't know who the chair was.
Yeah, that's
yeah. So yeah, and that's but 2 sections is still 60 students, or 50 students at a minimum expected for that course. That's actually
She's currently teaching. We got approved. We got approved the actual bachelor's in data science. So we have that. It's only like 1 year old, and we're currently offering the 3000 level data science class that is the analog for 1501, but for the bachelor's degree. So she's currently teaching that. So I'm sure she's probably going to get a lot of ideas of what she's doing there to bring it down to a more elementary level. She's running the higher level version right now.
Okay, interesting. So I'm kind of tempted to pick on Georgia Highlands simply because I do that. Camille or Melanie, where are y'all in process?
So I haven't put it into the curriculum committee yet, but it'll go quickly through there. I am actively outlining the courses based on the course outcomes you sent us. And I have all my modules lined up, and I'm starting to find resources to write the course. And I'm going to do it in R, and I'm going to do it through Tidy Models and the Tidyverse. And we may get it written by a computer science person in Python too, so the students have a choice of which language they want to learn.
And so you were just going to sit here and be quiet all this meeting with all that in your back pocket and not share that with any of us.
Well, I don't know. Sometimes in the state college sector, we just like to listen.
No. So let me ask you, so as you get through that, are you posting that in a repository somewhere that would be reviewable? I mean, I think this would be a great asset.
Absolutely, because we're going to try to build the course where hopefully I can export it out of D2L and potentially share it too for people who want it. So my goal is I even have it outlined by the modules by week. So I figure it's we're going to introduce the data and how to identify data. And then we're going to go into how to clean your data. And then the last half of the class will be a data analytics class and how to communicate it. So unfortunately, I'm looking at it more as a statistician than computer science, but it will have a flavor in there of how to clean data properly, what to look for, even maybe go into a little bit of transformations and how your data usually is not usually normal. It's going to be messy, and this is what we do with messy data. So.
And you're planning on offering it in fall?
Fall or possibly spring. It just depends.
Okay.
Because I can get them in Area A, Math 1401 in the fall, and then take them into it in the spring. But we also have a second stats class too that we may be competing for the same students, and that's my only concern.
Right. Gotcha. So. Okay. No, that's really that. Thank you.
No, you're welcome.
Others, I don't know. I think I got notice from Georgia State that they were still on the fence on it. I don't know what's Georgia Southern. Yours, have y'all made a decision as to whether you're offering this? I don't know if yours is still with us.
I'm here.
I don't mean to put you on the spot. I'm just trying to get a sense of the landscape.
That's okay. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. This is my first time, with this group, and really I don't have any experience or anything to do with this course prior to this. I received a couple of emails from you, Jonathan, back in December, November, I can't remember exactly. One thing I would like to know actually if there's anybody in this meeting from Georgia Southern University, because as I explained earlier, this is going to be a feeder course for my department. I'm in the College of Business, and we seldom have anything to do with the area courses, including Area D in this case. So, I'm interested to know from Georgia Southern University who's going to be in charge in offering or scheduling the course, because I know for sure that it's not going to be me or my department or my college. And I think I, also expressed that to you, Jonathan, in my previous email, how, we need to invite somebody, or a couple of people from the department who is actually going to offer this course at my university. So yeah, I mean, the purpose of me, here today is to just listen and then see if there's any idea I can pick up from you guys.
Yeah, and I will double check, but I believe we've engaged a couple of folks at Georgia Southern, but it's never, you know, I can circle back around to make sure, because you're right. I mean, it's not going to be a business, could be a business focused course, but it's probably going to be taught out of the math department.
Right, but could be, yeah, I agree with that. But the problem is currently we are very short, you know, on faculty resources. So I don't see either my department or any other department within the Parker College of Business that can offer this course in the near future. But having said that, it's not like, you know, we are not interested. Okay, we just cannot, you know, schedule and teach a course, you know, ourselves. You know, we're going to rely on, you know, another department in this case. I also have, you know, some comment about the fact that the course doesn't assume anything, doesn't have any prerequisite, but my understanding is if a student doesn't know anything about statistics or haven't learned or been exposed to programming, it's going to be, you know, real challenge, you know, for the student to, you know, be successful in this kind of course. So that's one thing that, you know, we probably should think about, how we shouldn't relax it too much. I know in high school, I'm not 100% sure, but based on what I know, statistics is not a required course in high school, nor is calculus. Algebra is. But I do think, you know, in order for a student to be successful, you know, he or she needs some knowledge of statistics. We can definitely introduce statistics in this course, but it's going to take some time, you know. Also programming, you know, I mean, for those of you who have done programming, learn about it, you might, you know, you might think, oh, it's easy peasy, right? But not in my experience, you know, teaching these kids how to program, you know. So yeah, I know that's something to think about as well.
Okay, thanks for that. Thanks
No
for that.
problem. Thank you.
I did check. We do have some of the math faculty on from Georgia Southern there. I'll reach back out to them and see where they're standing on that.
Okay.
So, and I did promise you I wouldn't keep the whole time here. I guess if there's any other campuses with an update on where they are, I'm not sure if North Georgia, I haven't heard about where, Brad, if you're still here. If you're patiently waiting, Brad, I'm not sure if UNG's moved on this or not. I think I'd heard two different things from UNG. Maybe he's gone. And I guess, Bhavna and others from Fort Valley, I think, again, you're in the early stages of the consideration on this. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, we are in the early stages. I don't know if Dr. Cartwright and Dr. Hamdan would like to chime in because we are still investigating and still working on the cost development. Dr. Cartwright, Dr. Hamdan.
I agree.
Yes, Dr. Cartwright, go ahead.
No, I agree with what she said. We haven't created the course yet.
Okay.
Hopefully, we should have something, I'm hoping, by fall.
Yeah, and again, there's no impetus on it from the system office, but we do want to make sure that as we go forward, part of this has actually been really helpful to me to see where everybody is sitting. And if there are people who are moving into course development and have got things to share, it would be useful for other folks to have access to it. I want to go ahead and move into the last thing I want to talk about, and that's really about exactly that. Like, I'd like to, I'm not assuming that the system office is a help, and I'll be, fairly blunt about that. When it comes down to developing courses, it's not something we do as a part of our function and role. So, again, thinking about where you are in your process is, I'm really interested in your ideas about where system can support it. Again, I've invited my colleague Denise Demese. Denise works both with the Centers for Teaching and Learning, but also she works very broadly on a lot of work around course development and instructional design. So we have people in system who know how to do things. We know his system who have these processes, but I guess open it up and just say, like, are there things that that would be useful and beneficial for the system office to facilitate? Part of this is, you know, I had promoted I sort of shared out the FINC, the DFINC resources and sort of structured this in workshops and worksheets rather to help sort of shape that discussion. Happy to continue that process, but I'm not entirely sure where we're moving next actually makes a lot of sense. And everyone's sort of on a different calendar. So I really want to make sure that we're facilitating that for anybody who really wants to, you know, engage in a collaborative process. Are there things that the system could extend that would be helpful?
Well, I'll make a comment on that front. It would be fantastically useful to kind of have some way of knowing what other institutions are going to do as far as like resources for the course, textbooks for the course, or just any idea like what technologies people are going to use in the course. Because there's so many, you know, when you think about making the choice between using Excel versus R versus SAS versus SPSS versus Python versus this and the variety of textbooks that are out there, I could see this spinning into like 25 vastly different courses, which ultimately kind of defeats the purpose of having sort of a common numbered course in there. So it'd be very useful just to have some way of checking in on what other institutions are sort of doing with this.
Okay, we can easily support that. I don't know what it would look like, but I can easily say we can collect it, and we can disseminate it, we can post it.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with that, especially at this level. And to be honest with you, the diversity of tools, technologies, and languages at the 1500 level can be overwhelming. There has to be some common platform in terms of technologies, in terms of tools, techniques, if you're going to call it a common, you know, course across several universities. And the system is wide and deep, and I can easily see this spinning out of control.
Okay. Other thoughts on how to facilitate this? So let me ask a follow-on question. I'm going to ask it in an email as well, but I just want you to think about it. You know, we're happy to. I'm not sure whether check-ins are helpful given the diversity of the group, but I'm happy to continue to facilitate them. I'm not going to make anyone stand up in a meeting and tell me they don't want to ever talk to me again, which would be exactly the answer to that question. But I am going to send out an email, and if you feel like you want to continue to sort of engage with people who are in this process together, you'll be invited to do it. And I really want to make sure that that's a process that is, you know, largely what this would be exactly like this, checking in on progress. Where are you in terms of the course, and where are you in terms of the program as a whole, like in terms of getting it out there? Those are the two things I would want to see done if I was sitting in your seats, but I'm happy to include other elements of this. I will, Neil, I will work on figuring out a way that we can at least collectively say, here's what we're considering. At this point, what I've heard is no one's nailed it for sure. So there's going to be a lot of margin in the text in the technology, in even the data sets, which is the other thing, you know, like in terms of there's going to be included. But I will work on that as well. But I want you all to think about, and I will get something out to this group about whether or not what the cadence of meeting again at all would be. I would at some point, like we will wrap up and figure out like where we are for fall, because it would be useful for us all to know sort of who's already out the gate and who's got a course out there to look at. Are there other things to wrap up with?
Jonathan, I want to say thank you very much for the work that you have done. I think you have started something great, and you've brought it a long way. I'm not trying to put you here, but I would like if you could send a link to today's recording, so that if we need to go back and just, you know, relearn something, that we can see it again.
Sure, I will. I'm happy to do that. And thank you, Dean, for remembering to record it.
Jonathan, one thing that outside of resources and establishing these, you know, or knowing what other programs and things that are going to be used within the course, I'm also interested in what programs are adopting it, you know, having that side of it, you know, because again, that's where we are with either the second math course or the 1501, and does that meet the needs of the program, you know, preparing them for the discipline and for the, you know, work in the field. So I don't know if you can provide that or orchestrate that or facilitate that, but knowing how other programs are, other universities are using the courses within their programs would be helpful to me.
Sure. No, I think yeah. So asking which programs are placing this in a program map as a recommended option.
Yes, just for us to consider.
Yeah, and we can absolutely collect. That's actually been part of the statistics pathway work we've been doing, and it's a natural follow-on to just ask as they go through which programs have added this to their map. And I'll tell all of y'all as you go through the process of doing this on your campuses, the process of doing this does involve saying to other departments, sister departments, will you be putting this on a map as a recommended course? Because if it doesn't go on a recommended course, one of the things we learned from the stats pathway work was that even though it was approved, and even though it certainly made sense to everybody in the statistics side of things that these students would go through statistics as their math, many of the departments had not raised their hand and said we want it on our map, and so advisors were very, very hesitant to enroll students in it, and registrars were saying, well, we can't give financial aid for that. And so that's a really important part for what happens on campus. And again, I will ask that question, and in asking that question, sometimes it actually shakes free. Like, so for instance, you know, Tim's comment about it being in English, criminal justice, and sociology tells me in a bit that those courses have actually said that that's going to be on our map. That allows for financial aid to pay for this course. It allows for advisors to, in good confidence, share that information with their students and say, we're going to register you in this course. And we'll close, and that will be fine, Joe. That's actually actually a really helpful add-on to that.
Thank you.
All right, no, thank you. So if there's nothing else, look for an email from me that will include some sort of background material. I'll attach I'll attach the outline so you have it to share, to have and to hold. I'll get the documentation for Gen Ed Council. That'll be useful for those of you who are going to be moving into Gen Ed Council with it. I will also I will sort out an idea on how we can collect some of these resources. If there are elements that are, it'll probably be a form, and it'll probably be something you get submitted and then posted and published somewhere on a website so that you can go and look at it. That's sort of how I was thinking it. But if there are categories of things that you realize would be really helpful to know that we could collect from everybody, please indicate that in a response to me, and forms are easy to adjust. And then the other thing I will do is I will ask y'all sort of what next, so that I'm not putting I am not about to put a meeting on your calendar that you don't want to be at. I also certainly don't want to leave you out on your own to do this when there's a community of almost 30 people right here who are all working on this project and can share resources. And for instance, at some point we'll all be able to go to Georgia Highlands GitHub site and cannibalize their course. And then the last thing I'll do is we'll get that email, the video of this posted somewhere where everyone can view it. So you can go back and just review what was said and sort of get a background on it.